Call the meeting to order. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our clerk is participating via Zoom tonight, so make sure you speak up for her. So if you want to roll call?
Trustee Narodowski. Trustee Keenley.
Present.
Trustee Wojcicki.
Here.
Trustee Dante.
Here.
Supervisor Bussie.
Present. Okay, do we have any public comment? Doesn't look like we have anyone here. We have the consent agenda for the payroll and bills, and then my reports on social services, employment center, food pantry services, adult and family counseling, and transportation and financials. Are there any questions?
No, sir.
If not, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Vince.
Is that, wait, I forget now.
Oh, no, I need to call it, yeah.
Do I need a roll call? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee Wojcicki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Trustee Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, approval of the minutes for November 22nd. Are there any comments or any questions on the minutes?
No, sir.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee Wojcicki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, presentations. We're very pleased to have our Veteran Services Officer here, Walter. If you'd like to come up and just introduce yourself and just give the guys, the trustees, and Connie and Sue Ellen a rundown of kind of what you do, how you do it, and how we can best support you along the way.
Do you want to have the mic?
Yeah. Yeah, state benefits and federal benefits, and these are my cards.
Excellent. Great. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just give you a brief synopsis of who I am, how did I end up being a VSO. I joined the military in 1984. I'm originally from Chicago. I retired in 2004. I've been all over Persian Gulf, Kuwait, Indian Ocean. I did 10 years consecutive sea time. My last tour of duty was here in Great Lakes. I took orders as a drill sergeant. I decided that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to college and prepare myself for the civilian world. So I ended up taking orders to Naval Station Great Lakes Security. So I was there for about 4 years because I had a background in communication. I ended up running a communication center for all the naval hospitals, all the dental clinics, worked with private vendors, until I retired in 2004. When I left the military, I went straight to corporate. I was a district manager for waste management. I did that for about 2.5 years. I decided that wasn't for me, so I ended up staying in corporate America, but I transferred to Danville, Illinois, to a different company. I became a production supervisor, and then they promoted me to a training coordinator. I did that for about 2 years, then they want to promote me to a production manager. I decided that's not what I want to do. Corporate America was not for me. I felt like I wasn't using my talents. I felt that I wasn't giving back to the veteran community, and the military has done a lot for me. They paid for my education. I retired. I've seen the world, raised my kids through the military, and so I felt that I owed a lot of veterans. So I ended up applying for Veteran Service Officer in 2010. I interviewed, got the position. I've been a VSO for 12 years now. I love what I do. And what a Veteran Service Officer does, we deal with all state, federal benefits, education, compensation, pension, burial. We can get veterans into health care. We're a resource for the veteran. If a veteran gets denied for compensation or a pension or whatever, we can reopen that claim. We can write appeals. We have an appeals division that will represent that veteran in the appeals. So if that veteran is needing health care, we also deal with military sexual trauma. And that's a big thing now, men and women. So we have the connections within the VA Medical Center to to get these veterans into treatment and to get them compensation. And what I'm talking about compensation is that, meaning that the veteran has an incident or medical condition from service. Now, because that veteran may have a condition from service, they can file disability claims for it. It can be a mental, it can be back, it can be hips, it can be sleep apnea, it can be PTSD, it can be MST, it can be for whatever shaving condition, whatever that veteran had while they were on active duty, we can file compensation. And the way it works is that the way the VA looks at it, it goes from a 0% rating to a 100% rating. 0% means that they acknowledge that it happened in service, but you don't rate high enough to get paid. When you start collecting money, it's at the 10%. And as the rating gets higher, that means your disability is getting worse. So the max you can get for a disability is 100%. Once you reach 100% disability, then it opens the door for all these federal and state and county benefits. Example, a property tax exemption. If a veteran is 70% or more, he don't pay property tax in the state of Illinois. If a veteran is 30% and has service connection for 30%, the compensation is probably about $300, okay? But on a property tax exemption, they can get $2,500 off the assessed value. If a veteran is 50% service connected, that's about $1,000, okay? And with that $1,000, they can get $5,000 off the assessed value. 70%, that veteran is probably collected maybe about $1,500, $1,600. They don't pay any property tax. 100% disability, that's about $3,500. And then, once that veteran reaches 30% disability, they pay them for their dependents. They pay them for the spouse. They pay them for school-age kids. If a veteran becomes 100% in the state of Illinois, if a veteran becomes 100% permanent total means that the VA will not call that veteran back in for a re-exam. That condition is so severe, they're gonna leave him alone. So they're gonna give him that benefit of permanent total. When the VA issued that benefit of permanent total, it opens the floodgates. CHAMP VA. CHAMP VA is medical care for your spouse and your kids. Not through the VA, they can go through a civilian doctor. The veteran, he can get dental care. Also, at 100% permanent total in the state of Illinois, that veteran, their kids go to school for free. And they get a stipend. It's called Dependent Education Assistance. It's about $1,300 a month. And we do the application for everything. We don't hand the veteran an application and say, you fill it out. We walk them through the laws and make them understand you have to have this to meet this. You have to have this to get this. And we'll help them get it. We'll guide them on the way. So the VA terminology is very confusing, and the laws are very confusing. So what we do is explain the laws to the veteran, the spouse, and the children, okay? And that's why we're here, to serve the veteran, the spouse, and the children. And we walk them through the process. We just don't let them go. We go all the way to the end until that veteran or that spouse receive the max benefit. Also burial. We do burial benefits. Burial benefits, if a veteran passes and he has a compensation or he's receiving a pension. A pension is not a retirement pension when it comes to the VA. A pension is for veterans or the widows that have very little income. It's an income-based benefit. That's what the VA calls it. And with far as the burial benefits, the veteran will get transportation costs to wherever he wants to be buried at. Most of the veterans want to be buried in a national cemetery, and we do the applications for that as well. So the veteran, the spouse, the children is not left alone. We do everything from A to Z.
It's really good. Any questions for Walter here?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, now here at the township, are you here, like, are you here by appointment, or are you here with
Monday
regular
through
hours?
Thursday, 8:30 to 4 appointments.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get the veteran in, and I always work with the veterans. I've seen a few veterans, I've seen a few widows. They're coming from Franklin Park, they're coming from Elk Grove, Arlington Heights, some people in Deerfield, Great Lakes. So I've seen a few people.
He's not limited to still.
No, I'm not just limited to Elk Grove. If that veteran lives in Illinois, I will help them and a spouse. Now, we do have, sometimes lawyers will call us, sometimes congressmen will call us, because it can be that confusing. And so we even guide the congressmen and lawyers and say, hey, this is what needs to happen. This is what you need to have. This is not, these benefits, it can fill this room. We can talk for 2 months or even 3 months about the benefits. They're that detailed. And then the VA law is even more detailed. So when I train other VSOs with our agency, in which I have trained other VSOs, I always explain to that VSO, understand the law and how it works with the compensation or the pension or burial or getting that veteran into treatment. Know those and you'll be successful.
Excellent.
May I ask a question? I know that in the assessor's office, we have applied for veterans with 70% disability to eliminate the property tax.
Right.
We've run into a couple of instances where getting that letter from the VA is
I can get it.
You can get it.
So it's called a summary of benefit letter.
That's, yeah, and I mean,
It-
there's been a
you
couple of
can get
times
it.
They've just sort of brushed us off, and we sort of stuck on it
Be-
like a junkyard dog and finally got it.
This is the reason. This is really a new benefit. The property tax exemption has only been around, what, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And so veterans and the spouse, even the spouse can get the property tax exemption
We
once
filed
the
for
veteran
widows,
passes.
yes.
And a lot of times, the veteran does not understand the terminology, and that's the problem. The summary of benefit letter that's what the veteran needs to file the property tax exemption through the county assessor's office. DD 214, the summary of benefit letter. In Lake County, you don't need to get the DD 214 certified, but in Cook County, the county assessor's office want the veterans DD 214 to be certified, which that's no problem, because I can get that done as well.
Okay, good.
So if the veteran is having a problem with any benefit, even if the veteran has been denied benefits, I don't care, because I've have reopened claims for World War II veterans, Korean veterans, Vietnam veterans. So it does not matter the time limit, you just have to use the law. That's it. It is no time limit if a veteran, and a veteran, it's so much misinformation out here when it comes, it kind of make our job as VSOs a lot harder because all of this misinformation and the internet, and then when they getting this information, 90% of the information is incorrect. It is incorrect. Now you got to pull all of that junk out that veteran. I had a spouse came in. She was from Arlington. The veteran was from Arlington Heights. Now this veteran, he did his own claim, which he shouldn't have, and that's a tragedy in itself. Because the veteran could do so many things to hurt themselves and not realizing it. But he got lucky. He came in, he showed me everything he did with his spouse, and I said, okay, these conditions, this condition is not a presumptive illness. Presumptive illnesses are like if a veteran served in Vietnam. If a veteran served in Vietnam, if that veteran comes down with any one of these presumptive illnesses, ischemic heart disease, Parkinson, chloracne, diabetes, neuropathy, Parkinson's, if lung cancers, respiratory, it is presumed if that veteran was there for 1 day in Vietnam, doesn't matter where he was at, or if that veteran was in Vietnam and has that condition, they're eligible for service connection based on presumptive illness. This veteran did the claim himself, and he's out of the VFW, and I'm like, to me, I've seen this a lot, and I moved around to different locations. I was in a prison for a little bit, helping veterans that have felonies or in prison. I did that for a while. I was in Champaign, I was in Danville, I was in Deerfield, I was at Naval Station Hospital, captain level for 3-4 years. So when veterans get a hold of this stuff and they're doing it themselves, this veteran just got lucky. He was very lucky, and he was on the right track. And his wife helped him out. But they were very confused about what power of attorney is and da-da-da-da. And I had to explain that to them. And that's what I do. We don't just let veterans and their spouses and their children just flounder, because we're taught, and that's why I love this job, because I was taught you don't hurt a veteran and you don't let a veteran hurt themselves. And so when they're out there doing this stuff, because they just don't know. And so that's why I'm here.
I think we're very fortunate to have Walter here with his office. Not only is he extraordinarily experienced, and we're very fortunate to get Walter, but also we're also, I think, honored to be able to have this office in our facilities. I think we're located very well. I think we have a large number of veterans in this area. It's a service we haven't really been able to provide before, and Walter is, from what I understand with Miriam, you got people coming in all the time, and he's out networking. He's going to be meeting with the Elk Grove VFW.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be having a meeting here with a number of the VFW representatives from out the area, and I'm just excited about what he brings to the table here for us in terms of the services we provide. He's a very complimentary service, and also, like your discussion here, we can work together and help each other. Where something comes up, you refer them over to Walter. Walter can refer them over to other people.
Right.
As long as we know what each other are doing here.
Right. And I do that all the time within all the VAs, Hines VA Medical Center, Jesse Brown, and Captain Lovell. I network with the social workers. I network with the patient advocate, the homeless centers there, the MST managers that run the clinic, the psychologists. Psychologists send veterans to me all the time, okay? Only thing I request is you just send the veteran directly to me.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. Don't try, because veterans are going to believe whatever you say to them, and then I have to reprogram them. This is not right. That's not, I understand what he told. I know what she told you. Social workers do it all the time, and I've been talking to social workers for 12 years. Please don't do that. Just send them to me, because the veteran is going to believe, even if it's the wrong information, because they're gonna feel that you know what you're talking about, and that's not correct.
Yep.
So only thing I request is that you just send the veteran to me. Hey, I'll give you my state cell number. Give me a call on that. If you need anything with a veteran, the spouse, the wife, anything, just pick up the phone and call me. I'll always answer my voicemails. I'll always answer my emails. I don't ever not return a call for a veteran. For one, I think it's very disrespectful. I don't ever do that. So,
Is Walter had a chance to kind of talk to the staff here, that they know what he's doing and where he can help them, and maybe then hears from them?
I talked to, I can't think of her name. I think she's a director, yes,
Meeting in January?
Yeah, that's the all-staff.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Corey.
you know, if he could be.
Okay, I talked to her, and we kind of talked
You know-
about some
you know
things.
what-
And matter of fact, she's referred a veteran to me. Yeah,
What may be a good idea is at the all-staff meeting, the lunch, all-staff, which Walter will be invited to, that maybe he could stand up and talk a little bit, like you've done with us, to the staff here, so that they know what you can do and what you offer, so that they get someone in there counseling somebody, or somebody comes into Connie's office, or they know, oh, Walter can do this. This is for Walter.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, where you know what they're doing.
yeah, all the benefits, it doesn't matter. The state, federal, county, that's what we do. We deal with all of them.
Right.
Even retirements. People retiring, they get things confused, even with their retirements. Veterans that served in Marines, Navy, they're retired, they did 20 years, 30 years. They don't even understand their retirement benefits.
Yeah.
They get them confused with the VA.
Yes.
Those are two separate things. And then I want to explain to you guys is that it's two VAs. It's two VAs, state and federal. Everywhere you go, no matter what state you're in, it's going to be a state VA and a federal. And that's why I gave you those pamphlets, because those pamphlets are state and federal benefits. With Illinois Department of Veteran Affairs, those are our agency benefits within the state of Illinois. And some of the benefits for the state of Illinois, the veteran does not even have to have a compensation or a disability. Just because the veteran is from Illinois, they will get that benefit.
Okay, that's great. Just so you know, too, you've got on this board 2 Navy veterans and a Coast
Yeah.
Guard veteran. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, Walter, personally. I think what you, for one, for your service, and secondly, for what you're doing. I mean, you're 100% spot on. I would have never associated federal and state as 2 different benefits. So, I have a lot to learn from you also, so I appreciate you being here, and again, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Any questions, just give me a call.
okay. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
You don't have to hang around either if you need to take off. Go ahead. This stuff's boring, what we do otherwise.
I can show it to Iverson.
Okay, we got reports now. Assessor?
Well, as you saw, my written report was rather short because at the time it was written, they had not certified any of the townships. We're now to the point where they have certified some of the townships. Once that is done, when a township is certified, then Board of Review can open up for appeals. They just certified 4 more. Ironically, they have taken them out of order as to how they proceeded this during this last year. We were open before Schaumburg, however, now they've certified Schaumburg. Our residents still don't have their result letters from their appeals. So we're sort of guessing that possibly by February, we'll be open for Board of Review, but it really is a crapshoot. I mean, we have no clue how they're going about this. And what's terrifying is that also, we don't know then when we're going to be open for our triennial reassessment.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know if they're going to follow the same calendar that they did this year. And certainly, I have no idea if the delays are going to be as punitive as they've been this year.
I don't see how they'll be even able to do that, though, considering the fact that they have to look at all these appeals and how long that's going to take.
Well, that's the
couple
problem.
that
I mean,
with
we
the
were open
triennial
for appeals,
assessment.
what, May, June? And we're sitting here at the end of December and no result letters. So usually, what we used to say, hey, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you're going to get a result letter. Well, of course, that went the way of the dodo. But until we're certified, Board of Review can't open us, which means that if they were unsuccessful with their appeal with the county, they're stalled until we're certified, and then now we've got to wait for the Board of Review calendar. So you put that together with the possibility of a triennial next year, and,
It's a recipe for disaster.
oh yeah, there's no way second installment tax bill will be on time. I can't think of one situation that would allow for that.
Now, how is that going to affect the exemptions that have been,
They, obviously, it's rather interesting from the standpoint that we usually are given a deadline as to, here's your cutoff date, and then you can file again next year or whatever.
Exemption,
For exemptions, yeah. And again, with COVID, they've done rollovers. Well, that sounds great, but unfortunately, they didn't roll them all over. They dropped many of them, thousands of them. And so we had people coming in that were very concerned that, their exemptions were dropped and we had to file primes again. So, as I say, what we're dealing with right now is more chaos than I've ever known. And after doing this for as long as I have, I can't begin to think of another time that it has been this inept.
Our assessor is under some pressure right now, too, it sounds like.
I was with my fellow township assessors a couple of weeks ago. We're all just shaking our heads to the extent that, not to make light of it, because what terrifies me is how late these bills are going to be. It was back during Jim Houlihan's time when they were way behind. And then all of a sudden, we heard that the second installment tax bill was not going to be due and payable August 1st, but sometime in January. Well, that was like dropping the atom bomb. Can you imagine a January tax bill and then your first installment? How many escrow accounts was that going to totally?
oh, yeah.
So fortunately, we were able to point that out to them, and they got them out, due and payable in December, but they weren't this far behind. Now, the only thing I can think of is that the county will look at the, appeals not very closely, let's put it that way, and deny many of the appeals, and then our only hope is Board of Review at that point in time. Of course, they can go to PTAB, but PTAB's 3 years behind themselves. And they're going to be overwhelmed with commercial and industrial, as they always are, but particularly under this particular assessor.
But denying the appeals across the board is going to put a lot of pressure back on the assessor's office again, because
Well, he
they're just
has-
gonna come back in droves.
Well, he has a tendency to say that all of his assessments are within the guidelines of the IAAO, the International Association of Assessors. I take umbrage with that, I really do, but I can't do anything about that, except I have talked to the president of the IAAO and let them know I was not pleased, because I felt that he was using the IAAO as a Trojan horse. That's not what assessment's about.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions for Connie? All right, then, the clerk?
Yeah, I have a written report, and before I highlight a couple things, I just want to mention, I can't tell who is making the motions and seconding them. If you don't mind saying your name, that would be super helpful when we get to all the resolutions.
Okay.
Okay, just two things. We had a FOIA request from Gerardo Mendez with the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting. I want to thank Administrator Paul Piak. He sent them 68 documents that answered all their requests regarding our underground storage tank removal and bike safety challenge contracts and bids. And then the agency grant committee, we did finish interviewing all of the agencies, and the grant amounts for the next budget are completed. Any questions?
Any questions?
No.
Not? Okay, supervisor's report. A couple things to go down here. First of all, I did meet with the chairman of the Community Empowerment Fund. We had, Paul and I had sat down and with Jason Tremblay, our attorney as well. There were some concerns about the bylaws for the Community Empowerment Fund, and we did some work in terms of rewriting them. I sat down with the chairman. We talked through them. I don't know, he's supposed to get back to us and let us know that if he's comfortable with these changes. If he's comfortable, then his board will vote to put them in place. And what it's done is it deals with the board what comprises the board, the individuals that comprise the board. It has to do with how checks are cut coming out of the fund. It has to do with auditing. It has to do with a number of things that just were a little looser than they needed to be. There will be, when this is approved and we move forward, there will be a trustee on the board, along with the supervisor and the administrator, and then one other employee, probably one of our, Corey or Luann or someone like that. So just wanted to give you a heads up that there will be some changes. There are some changes coming down the line on the Community Empowerment Fund, which should put us in a better, in a proper legal position with the fund, and also give us a little bit more control and management oversight for the fund as well, too. And we will be participating to a greater degree in the fund. Rapolo, the traffic issues there, if you remember, we had the two women in residence there in early, it was April or May, they came in. And we have been working with Cook County Police. We're very fortunate. We have our contact there is Sergeant Brown, who has been doing, Matt Brown's been doing a tremendous job, really has grabbed hold of this, has really worked at exploring the issues, talking to the residents, working with us in terms of developing a plan. We have just recently sent out a letter to all the residents, a survey, which came out under our name, but what Sergeant Brown had put together. This is to gather additional information from the residents in terms of their wants and needs and desires. And then he'll look at that and sort of apply that to the plan that we've been working on. And when that plan is kind of finalized, which is signage and is who knows, speed bumps, is whatever, a variety of different things that can be done to manage that area. Once that is in place, then what we'll do is we're going to call for a meeting with the residents. We will invite the Elk Grove Village, representatives from Elk Grove Village. We'll invite the Cook County Commissioner's Office, because these are the county police that we're working with. And then at that point, sort of present the plan and indicate what we're going to be able to do. The Cook County Police will indicate what they can do. And then there's some other things the village needs to do, and hopefully they'll be willing to step up on that as well, too. But we're finally getting to a point where this issue, which has been out there for years. Yeah, before so decades. Is finally, I think, we've got to a point where we just took the bull by the horns and have kind of, it looks to me, developed a solution, or at least a potential solution for this issue. Let's see, one other thing here.
So, George, as that relates, that goes back to this Dawn and Heather?
Yes,
who had come in here?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's Dawn and Heather. Remediation issues, let me just mention there. We have hired a consultant, Pioneer Engineering and Environmental, to consult, that we can use as a consultant on two issues which are out there. They're not, I don't know if they're going to be major problems, but they're just there. First of all, on 2400 Arlington Road, our old property, I think I mentioned before that there was a reference number, I forget what they call it, there's an outstanding issue with the property there at 2400, where there was a tank with a fuel tank with water in it, which indicated potential leaking, but this was 30 years ago. And all of a sudden, we got notified of this and said we need to resolve this. We may need to do more testing, and so we called our attorneys. They've sent a letter to the IEPA indicating that, in their opinion, we are no longer responsible for that property, not just because we sold it, but because of the way we wrote the contract and for some other reasons. And then we also said in the letter that even if we are responsible, we do believe, or whoever's responsible, we do believe that this issue should just be closed. It's not really a remediation issue. Having some water in a tank, there's no indication of any leakage. It was just water inside a tank. Moisture. And so the feeling on that was, so what we're trying to do on that particular issue is we're trying to, one, maybe have it taken off the table totally, but secondly, indicate that we aren't the responsible party anymore. So we'll see how that goes, but we wanted a consultant on board, so if this thing does stick with us, that we have somebody that can take the lead on this and provide the advice and consulting, so we can work through this quickly. We're not standing there trying to figure things out again. Let's see, on the property hill, on the property here, we had one other issue. In that the way if you remember, Elk Grove Village had worked to preclude the requirement for further remediation. They were working to get the IEPA to agree to accept the old NFR as being appropriate, as being all that was necessary.
For
this building. They were successful in that. The determination was that the levels of contamination in the back weren't really much higher than what they were when this was first addressed back in around 2000, and that that the situation has not changed and the old NFR would be good. Well, the problem that we potentially run into the way that NFR is written, is it appears that we need to keep an impermeable surface across our entire property. So the building and then anything outside the building would be asphalt or concrete. If that's the case, which seems ridiculous to me, but doesn't, and when I talked to Pioneer, they didn't see why this would be the case either, but that appears to be the way it's written, which create a problem for the challenge course and for the bike safety. Because then we'd have to either scrap them, or we'd have to go down and put asphalt and put dirt or put something over it, or we'd have to find a waiver to do some non-permeable fabric in there. So we have them, that's the other reason we felt we needed a consultant on board, because these are two issues that go beyond our ability to deal with it or our contractor. And the village now has achieved their goal of saying the old NFR is good. Now we got to deal with what's in the NFR, which we did not realize there was some components to that maybe create some issues for us.
So if I understand correctly, the EPA has cleared the NFR?
They have.
And then they came back and said something else?
No, they cleaned it, they came back and said, the old NFR stays in place. It's good. You don't need to do any further remediation. But then, when we looked at the old NFR says that the property, or it implies that the property that we have, the total property we have here, has to be under, and has an impermeable surface over it. The village had that. They had asphalt over everything, and they had the building everything, that's some small strips that don't matter. We weren't planning to do that. We were planning to dig out the back and put in, take the asphalt out of the back and put it a bike safety and put it a challenge course. Now, if we, for some reason, we can't do that because of this, we either got to go back into the IEPA through our consultant to have that lifted or changed, or we've got to put a non-permeable surface underneath and layer on top of it, which would cost us.
A significant
Yeah,
amount.
cost us significantly more. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so we've had a number of events this last month as well, too. We had the Thanksgiving baskets, and thanks to the trustees that helped on that. That was 260 baskets approximately were passed out. That is a record number. We also had the Snow Angels with that's the jackets, which I think is still, Paul, is that still ongoing? Yeah. Still ongoing. We had the Christmas gift cards, which I haven't had the numbers on that, but it seemed like that was very strong as well, too. We did the cereal bowl between Rolling Meadows High School and Elk Grove High School. Corey and I went and we presented the trophy. Elk Grove High School won, and overall between the two schools they raised about 2,500 boxes of cereal, which was a record number as well, too. So I hope the people coming to visit our food pantry like cereal. We're gonna have a lot of it. So that was great. And then we also had an event that Vince and I attended, which was Wreaths Across America. The DAR runs this event, and it recognizes veterans and places wreaths on their graves across the nation on December 10th. I remember what the date is. It's a set date, I think, every year. But in any particular case, Vince represented the Coast Guard, and I did the unknown soldier. And what's interesting is that is our property where the cemetery is off of tonight's road. You all know where that is when you come under. It's to the left there. That is Elk Grove Township property. Elk Grove Township Cemetery, basically, too. But there's a private group that maintains it, and we haven't had to deal with it for a long time. We've had a mow outside of it and some of that area, but the actual cemetery, we have not had to deal. We have not really had to do too much with it because of this private group. If that group would dissolve or go away, then we would have more direct responsibility. And in that cemetery, there's 2 Revolutionary soldiers buried there. I think didn't they say there's the only 2 in the area? So I think that's rather interesting. Let's see, was there anything else? Paul, was there anything else I need to mention? We are having an all-staff meeting on, what day is that, the 19th? 19th. Whoever can attend, you're invited to attend. This will be a lunch, and at that meeting, we'll talk a little bit about what has been accomplished this last year, what we're looking at going ahead, and also, like I said, I'd like to have Walter say a few words about the new services we're providing there. along the, and then 2 days later, on that Friday following that, is holiday party. We delayed it, we did it in January, rather December this year, because of all the stuff that goes on. And so that will be at Cooper's Hawk, and it should be a nice event, a good chance to get together and to be able to thank the staff for everything they've done. And if you guys can stay a few minutes afterwards or something, I need to talk to you guys about, for that event. And then finally, we have the contract for the Josselyn Center. We have not signed it yet, but the contract appears to be approved by both attorneys. Once that's signed, they will go in the process of hiring a psychiatrist to support our contract. And we should be up and running. Paul, is that February 1st is what it's supposed to be?
That's what they're projecting.
February 1st. And if you remember, what that is if our therapists, our clinical director, or therapists believe that a situation exists where an individual or a young person needs medication to handle some of their issues, that we will then arrange for a call with the psychiatrist via Zoom from here. They will have a session together, and then the psychiatrist can prescribe medicine for them. The reason why we wanted to go this way is because when we were referring these individuals to Kenneth Young, they were so overloaded, it was taking them 7 months to see these people. And these issues are such where it just wasn't, we didn't feel it was appropriate for this to be drug on. Yeah, and then I think the only other thing is there's a couple new programs that we're instituting, Corey in particular, in social services, but we'll address those at another time once we get along a little further. Is there any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, I guess I need a motion to approve the reports.
So move.
Who said? Who's that?
Accept the report.
To accept the reports, I'm sorry, accept the reports. That's Keenly made a motion? Yes.
Second.
Dante, second.
Done.
All right.
Thank you.
I think we should need a voice vote on this, don't we? I think so.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's passed. Correspondence, we have none. Old business, we have none. The new business, we have policy number 2. Policy number 2 is the agency grant policy. It sets up the procedures for determining what grants will be approved for the budget. It goes through the process of application, the committee, the board's review, and the approval and the inclusion in the budget. Are there any questions on that policy?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the policy?
So moved.
I'll second Greg Wotecki.
Okay, that was Keenly and Wotecki. Okay, roll call?
Trustee Keenly,
Aye.
trustee Wotecki,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. The second issue here is, our second item is Resolution 2021-15, and this is the, Paul, why don't you explain what we're doing on this?
Oh, this is the Jocelyn.
Yes, Jocelyn.
Yeah. Well, basically, we always generally like to put a resolution on a contract, makes it, I don't know, more legal or whatever. The attorneys usually write these for us, and what it is that Jocelyn had presented us with what are they calling, I think it's a BAA, a Business Associate Agreement. And so this explains, the associate agreement explains as far as what the scope of the relationship was or is, et cetera, and lays down the rules for the agreement. So Jason Tremblay put the resolution together, and, you can read it. It's basically, it's pretty simple, I mean, in regards to why it's there, and it's just a normal contract. So these are the rules that both sides will have to follow in this relationship.
So in a sense, by approving the resolution, it's basically, the board is basically approving my signature on the contract. Is there any questions on Resolution 2021-15, resolution authorizing the execution of the business associate agreement between Elk Grove Township and the Josselyn Center?
No.
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Dante?
Second.
Keenly?
Keenly second.
Okay, roll call?
Trustee Keenly.
Aye.
Trustee Woteki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, Resolution 2021-16, resolution adopting the electronic participation in the open meeting policy. We've already approved the policy. Our attorney felt it would be appropriate for us to put a resolution on top of the policy, basically just to make it, I don't know, I guess to make it more,
It codifies.
yeah, more codified. Good, thank you very much. That's a good word. To make it more codified. It doesn't change, the policy isn't changing. We're just putting a resolution on top of it to better codify it. Thank you, our dear assessor. Is there any questions on the electronic participation in open meeting policy resolution?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Dante?
I second.
Keenly? Okay, could you roll call?
Trustee Keenly.
Aye.
Trustee Woteki.
Aye.
Trustee Dante.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, Resolution 2021-17. This is a resolution resolution adopting public comment and attendance policy at the township meetings, and the policy 3 is connected with it, since the resolution is what basically is codifying the policy 3. And if you've read through this, basically what it's doing is it's laying out what are the rules or what are the procedures for making comments, citizens making comments at the meeting. There has to be an opportunity for a citizen or resident to speak. They can speak on whatever they want, but we can control the length of time, the number of people that speak on a specific topic, and that's what the signage that they bring along, that's what this does, is it provides, how would you say, a policy and structure to how participation in the open meetings can be allowed and carried out. And the reason for this is simply, rather than just me or the board subjectively doing things, this provides a structure to it so that we refer back to this and we can keep some consistency in what we do. Are there any questions on this resolution 2021-17 and policy number 3?
I have one question.
Okay.
Does the policy cover and state the individual come in, step up, give their name, their address, and that they actually are within the township boundaries and not somebody from Naperville or that's coming here?
Well, you want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't make any difference. Anybody can come to a public meeting and make a public comment. It doesn't make a difference.
They don't have to be residents.
And the policy spells out in here, which is those things over there that we've had in the past. It has been tweaked a little bit. They can talk about anything they want. It's not a give and take with the board. It's not a question and answer thing. That's not what this is. Public comment is for people to come in and say anything they want. It could be a question, they can make a statement, whatever. But it's not to get into an agreement or disagreement with the board members, the attorney, anybody that's here, you know, in the township's behalf to do that. So that's what those rules that George mentioned are stating in here as far as how long they can talk, et cetera. That's kind of the rules to go by.
Okay.
So if I understand that correctly, like, I think I get exactly how you described it, but there is no, nothing in here that says anybody can make a public comment, I get that, but they don't have to say where they reside, is that correct?
Well, there is a thing in this
Yeah.
policy that says that the board requests that people fill out a form ahead of time, either prior to the meeting or the night of the meeting when they come in, that says name, address, what topic they would like to discuss. And then so that generally is given to the supervisor, so he can look at it ahead of time to say, okay, we got 25 people talking about the same thing. Like he had mentioned, to consolidate this, you can have one person from your group talk, et cetera, and so the meeting can be controlled where people don't each talk for 5 minutes, it goes on for hours and hours.
Okay.
But to clarify, it's a request, but not a requirement.
No,
to
it's a
state.
it's a requirement. I
It's a
mean,
requirement, not a request.
what they can do is we can request for them, we can request to ask them to provide a written request to address the board, to be submitted to me or the administrator prior to the start of the meeting, or we'll have a form laying out here where they can sign in and write, you know, where they're from and what their topic is. We're requesting them to do that. They actually don't have to do that.
So it's a request, not a requirement.
Request to be completed, it's not required, I mean,
No, it's a request. It's a request that we request them to either submit ahead of time or when they come into the meeting. That provides us with some structure to what we're doing and how. However, then when we open the public comment, hopefully everyone's signed in and we can have them one at a time get up. However, they are, according to this, they're to be limited to 5 minutes. They can talk whatever they want. They can be from wherever they want to, wherever they're from. They can be from New York. And they can talk about what they can talk about Cubs, Sox, baseball. I mean, they can do whatever they want, but we can, through this policy, can limit that. We've stated to limit it to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Certainly, I've got the authority to let it run over a little bit if it's a legitimate discussion. And also here, we've also have the ability to limit the number that come up on the same subject. So we can say you need to pick a representative to present your situation. And I've got some flexibility in here, but if I need to, I can fall back on this,
Okay, understood.
okay? And then there's other things about public, you know, demonstrations and signs and stuff like that as well, too, that just provide some structure and a policy that we can fall back on so that we're just not saying, well, when they say, well, where'd that come from? Well, we've got something. Okay, is there any further discussion?
and George, I'm sorry, did we discuss it? Did you talk about item D on there?
B,
D is a dog.
D is in dog.
We talked about it, I mean, when we were
Oh, yeah.
making the tweaks, so.
Yeah, and item D, and public comments will not be quoted or described in detail in the minutes of the meeting, but the name of the speaker and the general topic will be included. That's what it was in Clerk, and this is just the way it's supposed to be, according to our attorney, where we'll list who it is that spoke, where they're from, and generally what their topic was, but we are not to write in detailed or take quotes of what they said or didn't say. We're precluded from doing that. And anything written that they passed out won't be included in the minutes either. So that's a little, I mean, that's a little something different that probably most of us didn't know. I mean, because I was clerk, I knew, but as trustee, I didn't know that. Okay, any other questions? Paul, anything else that you think needs to be addressed on that? Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to approve Policy 3, Resolution 2021-17, if I stop hitting this thing?
So moved.
Second.
So, okay, so Keenly and Woteki. All right, a roll call?
Trustee Keenly,
Aye.
trustee Woteki,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, Resolution 2021-18. This is a resolution adopting revised elected official compensation and travel. We have this elected official compensation and travel policy. We weren't sure if it had ever been formally approved. I believe it was, but it was not. Couldn't find it. I couldn't find any documentation, and then we wanted to put a resolution on it. So this may be a repeat, but that's okay. We're doing Resolution 2021-18, which is basically, once again, codifying the elected official and travel policy. And this is the one that authorizes, indicates when you can be paid, yeah. And the reimbursement policy and when you can be paid. Does everyone look through that? Are you comfortable with that then, everybody?
Yes, sir.
I think we've already discussed this, we're just now
Putting it on paper.
codifying it.
I'm gonna hear from you.
Yeah, that's it. I know. So Resolution 2021-18, resolution adopting revised elected official compensation and travel policy, and then the policy, how come there's not a policy number on this, Paul?
I forgot it.
Okay, so this is policy, I would say as amended, this would be policy 4.
At least he's honest.
Yeah, I noted it on the agenda, I just didn't put it on the document.
Okay.
itself, but before you sign it, it'll be on.
Okay, good. So this will be modified as appropriate. Is there a motion to approve a resolution 2021-18 and policy 4?
So moved.
Second.
Dante and Keenly, any further discussion? No?
No, sir.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Keenly,
Aye.
trustee Wojcicki,
Aye.
trustee Dante,
Aye.
supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, we don't have anything else on the agenda. I don't believe there's no need for an executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned. Pardon?
Keenly moved.
Second, Dante.
Dante, yeah.
Um,
It was Keenly and Dante.
Okay, got it.
Hey, Sue Ellen?
Adjourned.